For our next property, let's kind of piggyback off the property we just did, the quotient of powers. Notice this is still a quotient of powers. I have a power, 5 to the third power, divided by another power, 5 to the third power. Dividing them, as we showed last time, that's when I subtract my exponents. So let's look at what's going on, because 3 minus 3, 5 to the 0. Well, let's find out what's going on, because 0 exponents, we want to say something like 0. We want to say something like 5. 0 exponents aren't going to react the same way we think they intuitively should. Think about what 5 to the third power is. Exponents mean the base, 5, times itself, the exponent 3, number of times. Well, 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5, well, 5 quarters, 125. But think about the denominator, 5 to the third power. That's going to be the same, 5 times 5 times 5. It's going to be the same, 125. Well, now think of quotient is still division, meaning I'm dividing 125 divided by 125. That's going to be 1. 5 to the 0 power, that's going to be 1. 0 exponents do not react the same way that we think they naturally should. If I think of a 0 exponent, I want to say 0, but that's not what happens. Anything to the 0 power is going to give you 1. 0 to the 0 power would be undefined, but let's look at exactly what's going on here. When we say anything to the 0 power, that's because you're dividing the same thing by itself. And again, this is only if a is not equal to 0 or a. Let's look at 10 to the 0 power. We'll see that in the homework. It'll be 1. What if I have a negative 3 to the 0 power? Even if I had a negative 3 base, and we'll talk about what the negative base is, that whole thing made it with the positive and negative. And even if I had a negative number here, I'd still have a negative divided by a negative, which would still give me that positive 1. I'd still get a 1. But what about if I have negative 3 to the 0 power? You got to be careful here. I know as bad as we want to say 1 now, based off everything I've just been saying. Remember that what's going on is that negative in front without the parentheses is that coefficient. So what I actually have is negative 1 times 1. This is when it would be the negative 1. Always be careful. But again, we're going to see these kind of properties later, especially when we try to get into graph in our exponential form. Anything to the 0 power, anything except a equals 0 is going to give us 1.